Hello everyone, welcome back to Today News K Wave channel. That night felt different than usual. Amidst the crowd filled with cheers and unbridled enthusiasm, one fan stood with a feeling that was hard to describe. She wasn't just an ordinary spectator, nor was she just following from a distance. She was someone who had long paid attention to every detail, every small interaction, every moment that others often took for granted. And that night, everything she had believed in slowly began to be answered. Initially, she had come with the simple hope of seeing in person the figure she had only seen on a screen. However, what happened far exceeded her expectations. Among the thousands of people, her eyes caught something different. It wasn't just an ordinary interaction, nor a coincidence that could be dismissed. There was a pattern, there was body language, there was a connection that felt so real it was difficult to explain in simple words. Seconds passed, and without realizing it, she began analyzing every movement with incredible precision. The way they looked at each other, the small gestures that appeared effortlessly, and the fleeting moments that many might have missed all fit together like puzzle pieces that eventually formed a complete picture. This was no longer a matter of assumption or mere feeling, but something far more powerful. What made it all the more surprising was how he used logic and keen observation to confirm what he saw. He didn't rush to conclusions. Instead, he compared it to previous moments, recalling old details that now felt even more relevant. It was as if all the scattered clues had finally come together, providing the clarity he'd been searching for. Those around him might have only glanced at them, enjoying the atmosphere without realizing the depth of what was truly happening. But for this fan, every second was evidence. Every small interaction became a crucial piece that couldn't be ignored. He realized that what he was witnessing wasn't something that could easily be dismissed by doubt. His feelings were a mixture of shock, joy, and disbelief. He knew that what he saw would become the subject of conversation, perhaps even debate. But one thing was certain: his conviction was no longer the same. Now, he had a first-hand experience that mere opinion or speculation could not replace. The story began to spread, attracting the attention of many curious people. Some tried to understand, others doubted, but many began to see it from a different perspective. Because ultimately, what happened that night was more than just an ordinary moment, but something that left a profound impression on anyone who truly paid attention. And behind it all, one thing that became the focus of attention was how a simple observation could turn into something so profound. With intelligence, thoroughness, and the courage to believe what he saw for himself, this fan managed to open up a new perspective that might have never been considered before. Was this truly irrefutable proof, or simply the unique perspective of someone who saw deeper than others? The answer may remain a mystery to some, but for him, that night was enough to change everything. An experience that not only strengthened his faith, but also proved that sometimes, truth can emerge from the most unexpected places. The story didn't end there. After that powerful and unforgettable moment, the fan became even more lost in his own thoughts. He tried to calm himself, replaying every scene in his memory, as if afraid he'd missed a small detail. For him, that night wasn't just an emotional experience, but a series of events with a deeper meaning. He even began writing down everything he remembered, from the most vivid to the most obscure, knowing that each tiny fragment could be key to the overall picture. As time passed, he began to realize that what he was witnessing had a consistency that was hard to ignore. It wasn't just one moment, not just one interaction, but a pattern that seemed to repeat itself in a very natural way. Things that might have previously been considered coincidence now seemed like part of something larger. He began to wonder if this was truly coincidence, or if there was something else hiding beneath everyone's radar. When he tried to share his story with fellow fans, the reactions he received were varied. Some were immediately intrigued and found what he said plausible, while others responded with doubt, even skepticism. But that's where the story gets even more interesting. Small debates began to emerge, discussions continued to grow, and without realizing it, What started as a personal experience turned into a topic that captured the attention of many. Amidst these various responses, he stuck to his own observations. He didn't try to force his opinion, but he also didn't back down from his beliefs. He knew that not everyone would see it the same way, and that was perfectly natural. However, his first-hand experience carried a different weight than mere assumptions from afar. A confidence arose within him, not from trying to convince others, but from actually experiencing and witnessing it himself. Interestingly, more and more people began to re-examine old details they had previously overlooked. They began connecting the scattered dots, trying to see if there were any parallels with what the fan had described. And slowly, without realizing it, a new perspective began to form. What was once considered ordinary was now being questioned. What was once considered coincidence was now being analyzed more deeply. This phenomenon was evolving into something much broader. It's not just about a single incident, but about how people perceive and interpret things. Some see with feeling, others with logic, and still others combine the two. All these perspectives converge in a discussion filled with curiosity. On the other hand, the fan begins to understand that his experience is something not everyone can relate to. He stops trying to seek external justification and instead chooses to appreciate what he has experienced. For him, truth doesn't always have to be recognized by everyone to be real. Sometimes, simply knowing and experiencing it for yourself is more than enough. However, one thing that cannot be denied is the impact of this story. Many people are starting to see things differently, more carefully, and more open to possibilities they had previously unthinkable. And perhaps that's where the true power of this incident lies. It's not just about what is seen, but about how an experience can change one's perspective on something previously taken for granted. In the end, this story becomes more than just a fan story. It transforms into a reflection on faith, observation, and the courage to believe what one sees. Whether or not it's true in others' eyes, one thing is certain. The experience left a deep, unforgettable mark. And perhaps that's precisely the mystery that makes it all so compelling to continue discussing. Despite everything we see and feel, ultimately, everyone has their own perspective. What happened may still be a question mark for some, but that's precisely what makes it so interesting, keeping us curious and wanting to find out more. If you have your own opinion about this moment, feel free to share it in the comments section. I'd love to know what you think. Is this really solid evidence, or just a coincidence that seems special? Don't forget to like, share with your friends, and subscribe to stay updated on other exciting updates. See you in the next video.